been a while.
Yeah, it has, eh? It has. It's been a while.
Yeah. How have you been?
Been good.
Yeah.
Well,
You look good.
oh,
Yeah.
hopefully a bit of rest does do wonders, eh?
No.
Yeah, just taking time off. I had to shut down.
Were you away?
We went away, yeah, but it was more of a surprise type of thing. It was Aisha's side. Yeah, so
Well,
it came at a good, it came at a good time.
Yeah.
Had a beautiful time, beautiful time.
Yeah.
But yeah, back at reality again.
Yeah.
And you?
I've been good. A lot has been happening. Yeah, a lot of transitions, but I've been good generally. I feel like I need that holiday now. I was saying to myself the other day, I think 2 days ago, or yesterday even, I was like, I'm craving the sea.
I know, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And usually this time of the year, I crave the sea.
Is it? You like going there in winter, but they don't really have winter in coastal areas, no? It's like Cape Town.
Durban doesn't have.
Yeah.
But, well, I don't know about other places, but we usually go to Durban.
There's hardly any winter. That's the nice thing about it.
I love it.
No, the sea does things, man.
It does wonders. It relaxes you. You just feel like, I feel more in touch with God when I'm standing by the sea and just watching the waves.
Yeah.
Yeah. But soon, we'll be on our way there. So, today, we decided that we're going to ask each other questions and just have a conversation from there. Right? Do you want to go first with your questions? Yeah. Actually, we can dwell.
Yeah.
On your answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my first question is, what helped you feel safe enough to let me into your child's life? And what was that process like for you emotionally?
Yeah, it is. What made me feel safe? I remember when the safety element in my heart changed. It wasn't the first time Shekina came home with Ava's, but it was like over a period of time. And I felt like this lady is very intentional about what matters with my child. And eventually, but I know the first time she came back, it did something to my heart. But I was still on some spot. Maybe this is just a trap. And then over a period of time, I became now comfortable as she was coming back. But also it was how she was talking about you. Yeah. Right. She wasn't fearful of you. Yeah. She was happy always to have been with you. More happier than even with her dad. Right. She would talk about you more than her dad or her siblings. Like, mommy this, mommy that, mommy. And children can't lie. Like if you're nasty to children, they can't say, I don't like Auntie Lunga, But she never did that. And so it kind of helped me to feel safe. I think there's a part of the question that says, how was that process? Yeah. It was nerve-wracking at first because I knew now that, the romantic relationship is no longer present, but I didn't know how then my child would be treated, right? So it was nerve-wracking at first to send my child off because I was feeling like, what if this lady takes out her anger on my child, right? Yeah. And then also not knowing, will her dad protect her if that happens? Because he's now caught between, I need to kill my wife and I need to, so it was nerve-wracking. Yeah, it's unknown territories. And I also think maybe for you it became better as she grew when she's able to start speaking as opposed to when she was unable to speak. When she started visiting, she was still in the natural. Yeah. But I think one of the things that really cemented me, even in that chaos of fear and anxiety, was always praying about it and just telling God that, I have many questions but I'm not the best protector of my child. You are the best protector. So, and I used to think about it in the sense that Shekina will be in different places in her life,
yeah,
and I won't always be there.
Yes.
So I need to already start exercising the letting her go and trusting that God
reliance on
will
God.
protect
Yes,
her.
who's always there.
Yeah. So that calmed me over a period of time. Not immediately, but over a period of time. Yeah.
Understandably so.
Yeah. Sure. That was hectic though.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Okay, my question to you is, what made you decide to embrace a parenting role in Shekina's life, and how did you prepare yourself for it emotionally and mentally?
Yeah. So with me, I think because we were now in the process of getting married.
Yeah.
It started there. I knew that I am here to build in this marriage, and I would also have to take care of the things that I already know of, which was the child.
Yeah.
You know? So I had started preparing myself, I think, when I then knew that the child is not going anywhere, you know? And I knew, and when I had made a decision that, okay, I'm going to get married, then in my head I knew that this has to take place. It's part of the package, yeah. So preparing for it, I couldn't prepare enough. I don't want to lie. I really couldn't prepare enough because I didn't know, she was a baby then. Babies do grow. I didn't know if there would be acceptance from her side.
Yeah, because we never think about that.
Yeah, we don't. Until we're actually there and you're like, I've tried everything but this child. You know, but fortunately enough, that was not the case with me. I met a beautiful girl. She turned out beautiful. She grew up in a beautiful, manner, and yeah. So emotionally, I prepared myself before. Yeah. I knew the task at hand. Yeah. And though I didn't know word for word or how I'd encounter each step, because I wouldn't have known. But yeah, before marriage, I'd say. Yeah. I knew I was going to go build, man. Yeah. And mostly also for my husband. I never wanted him to be separated from his daughter. So that was very important for me. Sure. Yeah. That was a price to pay. Yeah. Did I tell you, by the way, that she says she wants to sit with us? Oh, that would be nice though. That's what she said. That would be nice though. And she told me whilst we were driving there, and I'm like, but it shows how much she has grown. Yeah. Her maturity level as well has just really grown, for her to want to bring herself into the space. I think also it's also because she feels safe in it. Yeah. For her to actually want to sit down and, and share her point. No, she was saying, because I asked her, do you want to sit down with us, like, outside of cameras? She said, no, I get we're doing this to help other people. So I also want to sit in with you guys in front of the cameras, and I want to speak from the perspective of a child. Yeah. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. Yeah. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right. So, over to you. All right. Were there any fears or hesitations you had about me stepping into this role, and how did you work through them? Yeah, they obviously were, because we didn't meet under nice circumstances. So, there were fights that were happening. So I think the greatest fear, like I highlighted, was, are you then going to take our fight to my child, right? So that was the biggest fear. And then secondly, my fear was that, would you then be standing in the way of Shekina having a relationship with her dad? Because I had seen other people do that, right? Where they control the strings so much that the child ends up not having a relationship with the father. So, those are my fears. But how I dealt a lot with those fears was really to pray about it and just tell God, this is how I feel. This is what I'm asking. Bridge the gap between where I am and where I want to go, right? So those fears were there. Other than that, really, I did not really know. The other fear I had, I guess, was
the protection kashikina, right? I just wanted to know, will you protect my child the way you protect your children, right? So also not just physical protection, but protection in the home, right? When she's there, is she protected? Are her opinions protected? Is her esteem protected? Is she valued? Does she feel all of those things coming from you? So, and because I did not want to be the mother that's forever just asking, so I wanted to, there was how do I do this without being a scratching parent? And I realized that I'm going to have to wait a lot of things out. Yeah. A lot of things I would just, like, even if I want to know, okay, where are we right now? But maybe that process takes like a 3-month period for me to see, okay, this is what's happening. So yeah, there were fears, but most of them, so other than those fears, those were my main concerns. Really. I didn't have any other fears, and how I dealt with those, because we were not on speaking terms, was to go to God and talk about them to God. Yeah.
Who else but God?
Friends. I had a group of friends. Some of them, we were like, how do I put it? Some of them were my gang up.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. The place that you surround yourself with when you want to vent, and they like, putting this on.
Yes.
They're gonna say, what do you say? And then there are those group of friends who were like, no, friend, but look at it this way, or you're wrong here. And I think in the moment, for some of them, I did not want to know. Like, no, vent with me. I don't want you to tell me about peace. I don't want peace. I want violence.
No, we do have those friends. I think all of us have that group of auntie this one. Oh, this one. What are you doing this?
I'm so sorry for those friends sometimes now. Because I'm like, shame, man. So how do you navigate this? How do you navigate that we are at peace with one another? I get you were part of the intense gang. So now the person that we were ganging up, I get
peace.
it's coming down. So, were there any moments when you felt unsure of your place in our blended family, and how did you overcome those feelings?
Sure, yes. Yes, certainly. I carry, we did not meet, like you said, under good circumstances. So, and I don't know, I would feel, this woman, like, there was rejection there from your side. I think even I could tell from your body. Your body would just be on some anxiety. And I could tell, But to be honest, for some reason, I did understand where that was coming from. And I had to be patient with the way you reacted, and I had to also stay in that understanding, because I wouldn't know when you were gonna then light up. And also knowing that at the end of the day, this is your child. And I understand that. You don't know me, you don't even know my intentions, right? So, and at that moment, yes. And at that moment, there was no way of you knowing. You were not gonna know. So I had to just sit and watch and be like, you see this, right?
Help.
Okay. Help. Because I was not, at some point I was not there anymore, And I also helped myself by shifting my focus from you. And I put it all on. It's okay. Let me put my focus here. So I shifted completely from you Hence, even the calls were never with you. You know, we never had that relationship of calling, but I shifted my focus on my daughter, and that helped a lot. Actually, that helped a lot. Then also with husband being there, our role was like, I don't deal with her because I don't think at that point there's anything that we want to even say to each other. If we do, there's nothing that is positive that's coming from that space. So you deal with her anyway, if we get knowing it. So you deal with her. You deal with her. But anyway, I moved from there and I focused right on my daughter and my family, and
and that diffused the situation.
It does. It does.
There's nothing to fight about.
There isn't. Yeah. Like I said, I was not there anymore, you know, and it helped me to just cut it and focus here. My question is, what does support look like to you from me as a stepmom, especially when it comes to parenting decisions?
Sure. I think for me, I've heavily relied on you as a stepmom to communicate where I'm coming from to Shekina's dad. Because you get it from a level of motherhood, but also from a level of womanhood. So that for me has been support. And that's why, you know, I'll send you messages and say, Youngster, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's talk about this, or let's deal with this, or there's a matter here that is of concern to me. It has become, and not that Shekina's dad is not understanding or whatever, but support for me is trusting you to relay that message in a way that
I get.
He gets it.
I get.
Right.
I get.
So that has been the most important thing for me in terms of support. And just also because she's a girl, when she's on the other side, there are things that I'm not sure her dad gets, but you get, you know, and you can mitigate certain things. Maybe she's going through something and she can talk to you, you know, and she doesn't have to talk to her dad immediately, because sometimes teenagers are like, I'm embarrassed by this and whatnot, but I need a mom, right? So that for me, knowing that you're there, and you're there in a way that I would have been there for Shekina. You know, I don't feel like, you know, she's gonna fumble this one. I feel like, because I mean, there's been times when she was living with you guys, and she would call me about something, and I'd say, talk to your mom. You know, she's there. Talk to your mom. Ask her, show her, or whatever. You know, also just helping in pushing her to know that there is a mom. Even if I'm a biological mom, there is a mom in that house. Talk to her, you know. So I have felt that support in that way, that you support me in how you relay the message, but also in how you are present for Shekina as a girl in your home.
What about a decision that I would take and you're not ready for it?
While she was there.
How do you maneuver that, or how ready to deal with that?
Look, there have been, I can't remember now specifics, right? But I do remember the feeling of, especially when she was still living there, where you guys would make decisions about what's happening with her. And I would feel like, I wish, and it's not like a big deal. It's not a earth-shattering. But I would recognize that I feel like I should have been there to make that decision. Right. But then I recognize that it's just my own ego.
Of course.
Because I had to ask myself, is there something wrong with the decision itself? No. Then what's the problem? The problem was always the ego, you know. So in terms of making certain decisions for her and what to do in that moment, also I had to calm myself down to say, I can't make every decision about her when she's not even living with me, right? She was with you guys, I think, for 4 years. And there's daily decisions that are made, and I can't expect them always to be communicated back to me if they are made for the function of that family on the other side. So I had to understand that, and I had to calm myself down. If I'm feeling like, there's my ego, I had to like calm it down and say, it's not about you. It's about that side of the family. That's how they operate.
It takes a lot. Then.
It did take a lot. It did take a lot, but it's just, I guess it's the dynamics.
Yes.
You must, if you're in this dynamic, there's a lot of dying to self. I think just generally in any relationship, even marriage, there's a lot of dying to self. So this dynamic, you must recognize whether this is ego speaking or this is actually the right decision being made, and you would have made it as well. You just bothered because you know someone else did it. So yeah. So how do you balance respecting my role as a biological mother while still building your own bond with our child? I think this question was asked in one of the sessions that we were in, right? And I think it was asked this way, that how do you feel when you know that Shekina will always choose her biological, which is not true. Shekina is not like that. Shekina is a very what is the right thing? She's a very right thing person. Whether it's being said by my mom from that side or this mom on the other end, she will like, no, I support the truth. Whatever the truth is, whoever is saying the truth, I'll support the truth.
With that question, it was, how do you feel if you are the one raising the child and adding to their daily life, and then they choose their mom? I think the question went roundabout like that. And for me, it was more like I just narrowed it down and said I wanted to choose her mom, but in truth, it's that she had said in the daily doings, you are pouring into this child. I don't pour into a child for myself. I pour into a child so that I am able to let go of her and be herself at the end of the day. So I wouldn't want her to choose me just because I am pouring into her daily, We all know that we are stewards, right? For our children in any way. So why then would that make me want her to choose me instead of her biological mom? My other issue was we want to look at things materialistically, that I'm the one who's paying for this, therefore she must choose me. It doesn't make sense for me, Let her choose whoever actually she wants to choose.
But also, why must she choose?
Why? Yes. That's why I'm saying that I'm not raising her for myself. I'm raising her for her to grow up, and then she is going to be her true self to whoever. Really. So my response was more of why I say choose her mom is because I know I'll choose my mom come day sunshine. So why would I want someone else not to do that just because it's not me?
But I think I'm having a question mark around that now as we are speaking, because I'm wondering why do we put children in a position to choose when we've made choices for them? We made choices for them in terms of them being here and we moving on with our lives, being married to different people. So this is what they are presented with, and on top of that, we want them still to choose.
I guess people look. Other kids will choose. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I said to her, "Look, babe, let's give an example. Let's say for whatever sake, there's this couple or whoever says to you, come, bring your child. I want to take your child overseas and I'm going to give them the greener pastures and whatever. So are you then saying to me, just because they were able to do that which you couldn't do at that time or at the level that they are doing, then the child then must therefore make a choice of choosing them, just because that's where I was coming from with the materialistic thing, that let us not want to control children's choices just because of what we are or the role that we are playing in their lives at them. Shekinah is not for me only. Shekinah is for the rest of the world as well. So for me, it's not a matter really of choice, but should she be put there in a matter of choice? I even told her that Shekinah, if you have to choose your mom, please. It's for me, it's okay. I know how to handle it because I know at the back of my head, hey, I would choose my mom if I had to.
If you had to, but I'm just thinking, because you saying the question was posed in a day-to-day living. Why would you put a child in a position where on a day-to-day living, just because I'm the one that's providing, choose me or choose your mom or choose, like, why must she choose? I feel like we are bringing different things to the table as parents, right? That where you are weak, I'm strong, and vice versa. Right. And if I'm bringing that, then you are bringing that. There's no choice. We are both parenting.
Bringing it, yes.
We are both parenting.
Look, you know what? And just to go back a little bit, I've actually heard a conversation. I think it was on radio or one of the things where the lady actually did say that she has a stepson and she makes sure that she goes to pick up the stepson. She makes sure that she is there. And then I think she had walked in on a conversation that the son was having with the mom. And the son was really, or the son was having a conversation with someone else. I can't remember. But then the son was still praising the mom. And she said she felt hurt. And I'm like, yo, guys, we need to also deal with our egos. I understood that, okay, you are playing, okay, what is your role that you are playing? You are fetching this child because you want them for yourself, or you are fetching this child because really you want the child to be there. You really want to the best for the child. It's not really about you. That's why I get you when you say there should not be a choice between I'm choosing her or I'm choosing that one. We shouldn't be bringing that upon the child. But if the child does, is it really wrong that they're choosing their mom?
No, it's not.
Because we are looking at the things materialistically. You are looking at it, what I have done this, therefore this child must pay me back by choosing me. No.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. No, I feel like there shouldn't be a choice, and if the child is praising Lunga, then I should be fine with it, and if the child is praising me, then you should be fine with it, right? Because we bring in different things. I think we must just teach children how to honor parents. Period. That you're honoring your parents. Whether it's a step parent, whether it's a biological parent, just honor your parents. Because one day, that child will go on to have their own family. You want to teach them the dynamics of honoring people regardless, right? Because the Bible also says, honor your mother and your father.
And your mother and father is not only the people that raise you. I think that's where we lose it sometimes,
Sure.
The next question, what lessons have you learned about co-parenting that you wish more moms in your position could understand?
Don't exalt your pain over health.
Oh, wow.
Don't exalt your pain over healing. I'm just thinking of me during that time. I could have held on, and I did hold on to my pain for a second there. And then, but I was like, so going forward, is this how I want to live? Going forward, is this what I want my child to be subjected to? And I was in the midst of all of that. I was watching people that were in my position, right? Single moms. And I was listening to the conversations that they were having with their children then. And it felt so heavy to burden the child with your own pain and with your own anger, etc., And I was just thinking, this child is so joyful and so beautiful. Do I want to corrupt this child with my pain, So although I was in pain, I knew how to remove it from her. Like I didn't have conversations about, it's your father, it's your stepmother, it's your whatnot. That's why when there was an opportunity for the relationship to be restored, she didn't walk into that with my mother said, So, and I was careful to conceal that and walk my healing journey as an adult and know that although this co-parenting situation is not working out now, I'm trusting God for it to work out in the future, and if I want it to work out in the future, then I must not invest pain and anger. I remember God saying to me, so do you want to give your child an inheritance of anger? That's really hard. And I knew I had to change and I had to start walking a journey of healing. So and let me also say that journey of healing was hard, right? Because you are healing, but you are also triggered. Yes, right? So you're busy walking and you're healing, and then there's a co-parenting thing, and 2 weeks later you have to go meet these people again if I get triggered again. But the thing that I'm ever grateful for was that I didn't allow those triggers to linger forever. Like the vision was clear for me. I don't want Chikina to grow up a certain way. So whatever it takes, and if it takes me dying, then let me die. Right? Sometimes literally I will just give you the shaking, turn around, cry. Yeah. Right? But that's the price I had to pay. Right? And go through it knowing that even if that happened, I can still wipe the tears off. And now when I look at shaking, I'm like, child, it's been so worth it. Right? It's been worth it because I see the opposite of what I did, how other mothers who chose to sit with their pain and their anger. And now the children are grown. And the child is grown in and angry. And the child, the child is just dysfunctional. Yeah. And I always thank God, but God, it wasn't because of my own doing. You literally had to arrest me and say, stop this thing. Yeah. Otherwise, this child will not be that which you want the child to be. And 16 years later, I look at her and sometimes I just look at her and just say, I say to myself internally, this was worth it. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I want to say to people that are maybe struggling with co-parenting, that your own healing matters. It's very important. And you're refraining from giving your children your anger and your pain. It's so important. And you will see it years later. Okay, so the difference between remaining angry and giving my child this anger is this. That my child is dysfunctional or my child is healthy.
And health is very important for a child, critical. Especially in the growing stage, I think,
It's absolutely critical, What has being a stepmother taught you about love, patience, and family?
It has taught me that. It has taught me the love, patience, and family. Yeah, because firstly, I'd say it was easier. I'd say because then our children came after Shekina. So who was already in our lives, I know at some point there was a pause there, but them growing up, they grew up with her, but then when there was a change, when then she came to stay permanently with us for some time. Something else. Yeah, no, that was something else. But look, God gives grace for everything. It's crazy. He says it's sufficient. He doesn't say for this. And I'm actually glad that he didn't. Paul didn't actually write down what the thorn was. He just said it was a thorn. So God's response was I have. The grace is sufficient. So whatever it is, I really did see grace there.
What was challenging about that?
It was now the characters. It was now the bonding. Although they had bonded, they were not there. She was not there 24/7. Yeah. And Shekinah was the girl that was like, look, I'm big sister. Yeah. I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. And at some point, she got so overwhelmed, and then it was almost as if it got her crushing. And I had told her, I said, baby girl, stop babying and mothering these people. These people must be standing there. Shekinah wouldn't mind standing at the pots, and she's the one doing breakfast, lunch, supper. I'm like, hey, girl.
She takes
but that is her character. Yeah, that is her. Look, she wouldn't mind feeding the baby there, and this side she's also mothering her brother. No, you write this like this. No, don't write it like that, shape. So I saw that, but the dynamics actually came there. Then I have my older son. Yeah. Oh, it was like, I'm not having it. Who do you think you are? Yeah. Telling us like that. So they had their own fights as well as children. And I had to teach myself how to not get involved in these. I'm like, hey, it took a while, because I always wanted to also protect Shekinah. That, hey, Nina, guys. But then I learned, yes. Then I learned that it's not. So as the journey actually also progressed, I also learned new things about myself and how the family also needs to run. We also had to change how a bit, shape it so that it accommodates all the kids and not just one. Yeah. Patience. Yeah. I had to pray for it. I had to pray.
I think generally though, as a parent, I think one of the lessons God gives you when He hands you over the child, He's also saying, I'm enrolling you into the school of patience, because I don't think anything has tested my patience like having children.
I wonder if anyone graduates with cum laude there.
Because when you think you move from toddler stage, it's something else. Yeah. Oh, they are teens, it's something else.
Yeah.
You patient.
Yeah, no patience. I don't know. Yeah.
And I think it also shows us our journey with God. God has a lot of patience for us. I learned to be patient and still learning patience.
Yeah.
With just generally everyone. Because sometimes I lose my patience and God will say, Papa, if me change, gosh, what couldn't
no, what, when I get to heaven, I'm sure God is going to be like, no, Blunga. And like sit here, I think there are moments where I'm like, you know what, Lord, I'm so sorry. Honestly, I don't know how you do it in any way. You are God, but now I need more of that. Yeah, I need more of it because it will test you. It will make you write an exam you were never prepared for. Huh?
Yeah. And you learned that in your journal.
Yeah. And I learned love that expressed itself in ways I never thought existed in me, actually. I learned how to also love and appreciate my children as very different as they are, because they are very different. And I had to learn how to love, actually. It taught me again how to love again. You thought you know how to love again,
sure.
brought me back into also loving myself again and forgiving again and forgiving again and loving again. Yeah, no, it's taught me a lot. It's also taught me out of the borders of my own family. Now it had to come to you, you know. How do I deal with this lady? How do I even get to a point where I can say, you know what, I really love her, you know? And I truly have to mean it, you know, because you're not going to throw that word around, you know. One thing that also humbled me was that actually she gave me an incredible gift. She gave me this daughter. I did not ask for her, but wow, what an incredible gift. And I love her, you know. And when you start to appreciate something, irrespective from where it actually comes from, I got the sense of, wow, this woman, clearly she's also an incredible woman because now you gift you know. But yeah, it taught me how to love even outside of my borders, to have patience even outside of my borders, to relook at our family dynamics, how we actually grow in daily life. I guess that's what life is, you know. When you think you've got it all and you know, you actually don't. You go back and start again, starting over.
Sure. Yeah. It's a lot that happened.
It's a lot. Yeah, no, it is a lot. How do you maintain your peace and protect your child's well-being in a blended family dynamic?
Well, I think I protect my peace by not making myself the center point. Right. Because you can, like, I'll give you an example. Like I said earlier on, that there are things or decisions that were made when Chikina was living with you guys. So even when she's going over for the holiday. And I remember when she first went to live with you guys, I was so tempted to rules of raising this child. And then I realized, but no, that's you being arrogant, right? And that's also your perfectionist state of mind. You being arrogant, you are actually assuming that I'll cause the rules of raising, right? On the other end. And you took a backseat. And I said, let me just sit and watch. I'll intervene where I have to intervene. But I'm not just going to intervene, Jay, you know? So like when I would see how you guys would parent, I would be on some, okay, that's different, you know? But then I would also allow myself to not just say it's different, but watch what it produces, you know, right? And I would see, okay, it's good. It's good stuff. It's producing good stuff. Wouldn't necessarily do it that way, but this is also another way, right? So it helped me remove myself from center stage. And I think all of us in J, as in blended families, remove yourself from the center stage and put the child as the one in the center stage. Otherwise, if I'm on center stage, then I'm going to consistently be fighting, going back and forth. And if I'm not, and the thing is, I will be fighting for my preference, my way. I won't be fighting for Ushiki, you know. So a lot of what needed to happen, and I think for you guys too, was to take a backseat from and not put yourselves on center stage and actually look at it from an angle. What does Shekina need? And then it will then inform what conversations you have, right? Or there's then other conversations that, okay, I don't need to pick up the phone for this one. I'm trusting that they are parents, they know what they're doing. Shekina's not their only child, you know, so they are also parenting other children in the house, and those children sing well, so Shekina must also just fall into So I think that's the most important thing, and I would say, guys must remove from
the center stage. I like how you say, because center stage requires you to dance. And it's dancing to your own beat.
Right. And I want to tell you, my way.
Yeah. But it's not easy. You know, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
In as much it carries a lot of truth, but that's you watching your own child almost over the wall or over the fence. And obviously the mother in you, I think more than an ego, wants to snap her finger and say, hey, by the way, you know, but then you have to come back to yourself and say, actually, that's not me. Let me allow what is going there to.
But you know what, Lord? For me, it wasn't even just about being in a co-parenting space. It also has to do with how we women assume we are the best parents by virtue of carrying the child biologically. So we are trusted to carry the child biologically. That even in a setup where you are married and you live nomuntu wakho, like the minute you give birth, you think he is incapable. I am the one that's capable because I can. And the reality is that we are winging our way through parenthood, even together as women.
We don't know what it is.
But we don't extend that same grace to men to say, if I'm winging it, I must allow him also to wing it. And that means he's going to make mistakes the way I'm also making mistakes. You know? So for me, it's not even just about co-parenting and blended families. It's just parenting in general. And I think women, in that regard, we need to do better. We need to allow people access. If we act like that with our spouses, what more you move with other people? You understand? Step parent and what. So it's just always a thing for me of questioning yourself. No, you're not the best. You were the best representative for bringing the child here. But that doesn't automatically make you a great mother. If that were true, if those things were synonymous or parallel with one another, then we wouldn't have toxic mothers.
Of course.
Right? Yeah. If by virtue of giving birth, you know, you automatically knew how to nurture the child, why are we having toxic mothers? Why are so many people reeling from toxic mothers? You know. So what would you say to other stepmoms who are struggling to build a peaceful relationship with the child? Wow.
Okay. That's a tricky question because I don't know what the reasons are. There's different reasons. Is it a reason of I've reached out and she's, or I don't know. But what I best know is what I did, you know. And what I did was have patience and allow, there was a lot of prayer. And I know that we've had a thing where they say it's easier for you guys because you guys
Christians.
Christians, which is true. Fortunately, which is true. And I don't know how it would look like out of that. You know, pray about it and honestly wait it through, man. And my thing is never stop trying. Never stop trying. I always say the person that you meet today necessarily is not the person that you'll meet 2 years or 3 years down the line. So that's where the patient needs to come in. Unfortunately, sometimes you'd have to wait 10 years, but it is that. Wait and continue to try. Never stop trying.
Sure. That's so powerful. I like what you're highlighting because there's such a lot of truth in what you're saying, in the sense that even outside of blended families, there's always tension in relationships, even as they are evolving. There's a tension of this, then there's a tension of finances, tension of health or whatever. But, and we are so quick when the tension is present to say, I'm out. I'm done, you know. And the reality is that which you are saying, nobody's the same forever. Right? 3 years later, and it's a gamble, I guess, because 3 years later, the person has either realized or or grown. If they invested in their development, they've grown. And they're actually a version of the type of person that you can have a conversation with. Because I mean, I think of you and I that it took long for you and I to just have a conversation, you know, and we can have a conversation because there's things that I grew out of, and I realized, no, actually, this is nonsense that you are doing, you know, and if you want health, this is what, but it wasn't independent of my own growth.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So,
also with me, at some point, I never wanted anything to do with you. Honestly, I never wanted anything to do with you. But when I sat down and I realized, look, there's a child to raise. Yes, it could have been done differently out of you, meaning me and you, you know, but that's when the patience came in. That, look, let me try again. Right? And when I tried again, fortunately, this time I came knocking and the door was opened. You know, I can never know. I cannot put in a time frame with the others, but try. That's what I say. Try. Offer that olive branch to someone else.
You'll never know.
You'll never know.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you too.
Thank you too.